Hi guys, it's your girls, Danny and Laura, and today I am back doing a podcast. I haven't been on a podcast in a while. Danny hasn't done a podcast in a while either.
We've been taking a break.
We've been having a break. We have.
How has your time off from Loudspeaker been?
Depressing. I actually missed it a lot. I think it's because obviously I was ill. So it was depressing anyway, but not having something that I enjoy doing on top of it was like, oh, great, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Had FOMO.
Yeah, you were missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you been up to other than being ill? You went to Egypt?
I went to Egypt, yeah.
That was fun,
Rode
right?
a camel. That sounded weird. Rode a camel?
Rode a camel.
I rode a camel. Not doing it again.
Oh.
No, terrifying.
Why?
Absolutely terrifying.
Was it?
Yeah.
I actually saw a camel at London Zoo the other week, and I've never seen a camel in real life.
They're very strange looking things.
Very strange.
They
I've
look
seen
like
pictures,
someone's put it together with Play-Doh.
Yeah, but badly.
Yeah.
Like a child's done
Yeah.
it. It's so
And
weird.
then it's just been left and formed into a creature.
Yeah. I said to my boyfriend, I was like, how mad is it that that thing actually exists in the world?
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. Anyway, enough about camels. We're kind of talking about camel toe.
Yeah.
Keke Palmer. No, I'm joking. She didn't have a camel toe. She looked lovely. But that's not what her baby dad thought.
Oh.
Let's get into that.
That was smooth.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I
I'm
like
trying to transition a little better this season. But yeah, welcome back. We are back for another season. I'm very excited.
It's exciting.
And today, we are going to be talking about Jonah Hill.
Oh.
Keke Palmer a little bit. We're going to just, the whole controversy that's been surrounding them at the minute. So, are you up to date with...
I am very up to date, actually.
Oh, good.
I saw it on a blogs page, actually, I think on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them, actually. And I was shocked at both, because it's like, wow, really?
Yeah,
like, you're
this is
actually
what we're
acting
doing.
like this at your grown age, but all right, cool, say less. Do that, if that's what you're into, do you know what I mean?
So for those of you that don't know, Jonah Hill has got quite a bit of backlash for some of the texts that his ex has released between the two of them. And he's basically using therapy speak and talking about boundaries and all of these different things to what a lot of people would say is manipulate his ex and try and be basically really controlling. Same sort of vibe with Keke Palmer and her baby dad. She was at an Usher concert. She wore I guess some would consider revealing, or...
I personally don't think it was that bad. I think she was pretty much covered up. Like,
yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
Her business. But yeah, her baby dad chose Twitter to call her out and say...
Of all the platforms as well, like, ugh, really?
But the most toxic platform for the most toxic people.
True. Fair.
And he said, basically, you're a mum. What are you doing?
Yeah, like, why are you out looking like that if you're a mum? Like, reminding her she's a mum, like she didn't push a child out of her vagina.
Yeah. Could have just texted her, could have just said, you weren't comfortable with it when you went to pick the kid up. But, hey, you chose Twitter. Good for you.
I feel like he did that because he was in his head self-conscious about it, and he knew that someone would comment about it. He in his head is thinking, there are trolls out there, let me get ahead so it looks like I'm not letting her out like that, because in his head he's thinking, rah. He was already thinking it, but he knows if someone comments on it, he thought less of a man,
I'm better
because he's
main
not been
troll, the king of trolls.
He's got to be the one to say it, so that is not,
I don't know. Maybe you do. But the way that he's been passed off as baby dad in the on social media, that I assume they're not together.
Well, I'm guessing not.
But
then you have no say at all. Anyway.
I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Like, you've had a child with someone.
And then you're slating them online.
It sounds bitter. Like, that's the when I saw it, I was like, you just sound upset.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't get to see her.
Sorry that she looks fly and you don't.
Yeah.
Don't be upset about that.
Usher's
do something
just receiving what
better yourself if you can't. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so what do you think about the whole Jonah Hill?
I'm in two minds. So one mind is I'm a woman and I don't think I'd like someone telling me a long ass list of things saying you
Literally
cannot do this, like very specific things as well that was partly to do with her career, which personally I think you have no say in. Yes, there's things that as a person yourself you can be like, you know what, I know that would piss off my partner, so maybe I would not participate in certain things that could upset him
for the sake of it. Yeah.
But that's like a choice made by yourself because it's your professional career. The other things that are more personal to do with things that she does in like her normal day to day, like the surfing, for example, teaching men and whatever. I just think that's ridiculous. Like, you can't control what someone does. What? We work here, and there's man around. Do you think anyone could say, no, you can't be in a room with man or whatever? I'd be like, sorry? Like, do you know what I mean? That's not my problem. That's my professional. If I chose to do that just for in my free time, I'd understand.
Yeah.
So I'm in two minds where it's like, it is very controlling because you cannot tell someone what to do with their life, for one. If you don't like it, that's what you've put yourself into that situation. So if you like that person and you've gone after them, you already knew what their lifestyle was like, you already knew what they did. You can't then say to them, no, you cannot do that, you're not allowed, this needs to stop. No, you saw me before. If there's certain things that need to change, like perhaps going out too much or whatever, that's fine, I understand that. But the things that you've seen are actually part of her day-to-day life that she may or may not be able to change, and you're criticizing it to a point where it's like, right, that is actually controlling it. It's not just, oh, I feel uncomfortable if you do that. Like, is there a way we can work around it? It's, I don't like this. This is my boundaries. But you already knew that your boundaries were that before you started a relationship with her.
And that's definitely my biggest argument with the whole thing is you knew her job. Yeah. You slid into her DMs of her in a bikini picture, and that's how you guys started dating. Yeah. So you knew her job. You knew the picture she was posting. You knew all of these things that came with that. Yeah. Or if you didn't, you should have asked. Yeah. Why are you now surprised, and why are you now trying to change something that you initially wanted and pursued?
That's a big topic. I feel like it's on social media. Like at the moment, it's a lot of things. It's like a man will want like a sexy girl that's like boobs out, body out, rah, rah, rah. They'll be liking up the photo, bare moving to her and whatever. But as soon as that's your woman and she wants to continue posting things like that, whether it's for her job or not, because some people are influencers and whatever, you're trying to change that person that you initially wanted. I get it, like, if you get to a stage where you're married and whatever, and there's certain things that you don't appreciate going online, I completely get that.
Or if you're posting these pictures and then you're replying to every guy that's putting a fire emoji, do you know what I mean? And being like, that's thanks, different. Babe. Like, that is completely different.
And I feel like people will say, oh, because we're women, we see it as that. It's like, oh, you guys just want to post sexy. No, not everyone does. But it's like, if I wanted to do that, it's my social media. It's my life and it's my body. So if I want to post those things and you've got an issue with that, don't be with me from the start if that's what you liked at the beginning.
If you started doing it after the relationship started, then it's like, okay, well, why suddenly?
Yeah, then it's weird. It's different. It's not a continue. Like, if you then start, that's dodgy. Like, why are you posting it? Because you're then trying to get attention for some reason, yeah? But even then, you may not be trying to get attention. You might feel good, look good, and you think, right, I'm posting that.
Yeah, you feel secure in your relationship.
And more time these men are liking up goals like that anyway. So why do you have an issue with me doing it?
And that's what I feel like it is as well. Obviously, I'm generalising, but guys don't like it when a woman is that way because they know how men think. Yeah. That's the worst part about it. They know that that's what they were attracted to. They know that they were sliding into DMs or commenting or liking or da-da. That's why you don't want your girl to do it, because you know that some other man is going to be doing exactly what you would have been doing. Like, that is the messed up part for me, is like, women don't, in general, women don't feel that same way. Like, you can be in a relationship, women know how to say no, and like,
we don't think with our clits.
Have you ever heard that phrase come out of someone's mouth? Oh yeah, she was just thinking with her clit. Like,
no.
There's a reason.
It's more, oh, she's a hoe. For what? Doing what? You can literally think with your dick.
With your dick.
Literally. Oh,
it's mad. But just again, for those of you that don't know, let's go through the list of Jonah Hill's
mental
requirements. So, This was his text on the 2nd of December 2021, allegedly. Okay, plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, her career, by the way, not just a hobby, what she literally makes a living off of, but cool. Boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men.
But how is that? I don't understand inappropriate. How is it inappropriate? So if you're friends with someone, it's not going to be inappropriate. Do you get it?
But
why would he consider...
Boundaryless is so vague as well.
The boundaries are probably like, you can't see me half naked, or you can't come to things where I'm drunk, or do you know what I mean? That's what I mean. He hasn't specified what it is, but for him to write a list of his own boundaries, the boundaries for a friendship, I can't even imagine what they would be. I would love to ask him.
To model, again, I think that was
that's
part, I could be wrong, but that's part of the, it's like surfing, modelling together, but I don't know. To post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit.
That's literally her job.
To post sexual pictures. And friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past, beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful.
No, that's controlling. That's very controlling.
And then he followed it up with, if you need any of those things, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust.
Oh, but you know when he says that, it seems like those things have caused issues, as in like maybe
past.
She has messaged someone that she's been with. Maybe she has been a bit too flirty with one of her so-called friends. But we don't get to see that part of the story. So it's like, we're all like, what the fuck, and rah, rah, rah. But I feel like if we was in a situation, and that's where I come with I have two different sides. One's very controlling, and I think it's controlling anyway. But the other one is, we don't have a backstory. We don't know what's pushed him to think, you know what, I don't want her posting this and this. Because maybe there is an actual case where she has done something that's caused him to feel like his trust for her is very, very small because of these things. And there, I would think it's fair to say, I don't want you to do this, rah, rah, rah. I get that.
Yeah,
but
and it is very one-sided because as far as I know, he hasn't released, like, I don't know, any other information to go with it, which I think was a classy move.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we've both been in situations where trust has been broken or something's happened. And I have been in a position where, despite that being the case, I've tried to make a relationship work. And I think it's a very fine line and it's very difficult to do. But there's a very fine line between forgiving and then holding on to those things. I think if you forgive that and you want to work on it, that doesn't give you an automatic green light to have any requirement you want. It's something you discuss and you say, okay, following this isn't something I'm comfortable with anymore.
This is how you can sort it out.
And then it's on them to kind of act accordingly. And you've just, in that position as the person whose trust has been broken, I think you've got to like sit back and let them show you what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I've said now, if I was to get into a new relationship, I don't know how comfortable I would be with my partner having Snapchat. Just because I've been shown
that it's possible.
That it's possible that someone deletes it of their own accord, like deletes their social media. I'd never asked for that. I, like I said, just wanted to see how they went about things, but they deleted all their social media. Like, and it's not a requirement, and I wouldn't be like, this is a boundary, and if you need these things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would be a conversation that I had, like,
this is what makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've been in this position, and, you know, if you want to, fine. But I think, again, like I said, the main thing of it is, if you're in a relationship where you don't trust someone or you're not trying to, it has to be like a compromise.
No, definitely.
But you can't just throw things in their face and be like, yeah, you can't go out clubbing with your friends. You have to go for coffee with them because my trust has been broken in the past. Like, that's when it can get really toxic.
Yeah,
and
it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But did I do anything?
And I would assume that's why they're not together anymore.
Yeah.
And also then from her side of things, it's like, you're not even, why have you released these messages after the fact?
You know what I reckon? I reckon she's, and I say this with like quite lightly actually, because obviously we don't know everything. But I feel like maybe she's put it out there so that she can come back if he then says anything like, she's done this, and this. She replies to people, she does this. She can be like, okay, cool, but this is my job, because the way she's put it is, how can you have all these boundaries and rah, rah, rah. So she's doing this is what's happened, so people get on her side first. And then when he comes up with her, she did this and this, people are going to be like, but you were the one saying she can't do this and this. No wonder she was replying to people, because you were crazy and rah, rah, rah. I reckon she's got that jump ahead of him to be like, you know what? He can't say anything bad about me if I slander his name. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it is in this case. And I feel like, yes, it is. To be honest, it's also like highlighting the fact that this is what a lot of males are like. And I think it is good if you've got a platform, you can then do it. But I don't feel like the need to call out names and be like, this person is rah, rah, rah. Like,
she could have easily done it. You could have
done a live story. You could have done a video about it. Just talking about the topic, not naming people, not doing this. But because he's a big name, I feel like it was more like a, not a clout chasing thing, but...
And I'm not saying that women should like put up with it and like shut up and not say anything. Like, that's not my point at all. And I think the only way that you can kind of nip this stuff in the bud and people learn the warning signs of someone like this is if you shed light on it. But then at the same time, I don't know, I just feel like the whole situation is just unhealthy on both sides. And again, we don't get the full story. We don't know anything.
I think it's just toxic as well.
Yeah. But I think the main thing that came from it is all of his therapy speak. So I actually watched his Netflix. He did like a documentary on his therapist, and I'm into all that shit. Couples therapy on BBC iPlayer is the best thing ever. Really? I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, he did a documentary with his therapist, and a lot of his therapist's like techniques are really they're not the norm in like the therapy world. When it came out, loads of people were saying, yeah, I don't really agree with loads of therapists were saying, I don't really agree with his techniques. So his therapist came under a lot of fire when all of these texts came out. But the main thing was his misuse or his like manipulation of therapy terms, things that he's learned and buzzwords that he's learned in therapy.
I can use that to get what I want.
Exactly.
Rather than bettering yourself, you're trying to use it to get your way.
Like, he could have said that in a completely different way, but these are my boundaries. So I was looking up, information on this, and there was this therapist, and she said, in terms of like therapy speak, the reason that it's not always... when it's taken out of a context of like a therapy session or with a therapist that knows how to use it correctly and has spent time learning about it, Sarah Bozza, she said, therapy speak can feel confusing and patronizing and make you feel as if you're not part of the conversation, their conversation. It's their way of opting out rather than leaning in and engaging, avoiding healthy conflict under the guise of self-care. It's an intellectual flex to skew the conversation and tip the scales in their favour. But here's the thing, it's a delusion of superiority. It sounds like an informed opinion, but it's actually a surface level projection of psychological concepts. Which I feel like I've been guilty of it though.
No, I'll definitely
be like, that's gaslighting. Like,
I'm definitely a culprit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back. I mean, when we get on to the next thing, I reckon I'll be able to like narrow it down to what I've actually done. But I know that I've definitely said things before, like, not to do with my boundaries as such, because apparently I don't fucking have any. But like, I've definitely said things like, no, you're gaslighting me, or you're this, you're that, when realistically I could have probably been doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've definitely done it myself. But I'm there like, you're gaslighting me. Yeah. Or you literally are so manipulative, when I've manipulated the whole conversation.
And I feel like now this whole culture of like on TikTok, like everyone thinks that they're like a psychology expert.
Yeah.
And
here are the signs of a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like 15
and it's Brenda
signs
that works in a bakery. Nothing wrong with that, but your PhD is still pending. Like, let's relax. But like, I'm guilty of that as well. We've spoken on the podcast many times about boundaries and self-care and relationships. Yeah. I'm no relationship expert by any
but I
means.
feel like we're giving it from experience, where these people are being like, these are facts.
Yeah.
This is what the traits are for a narcissist. And I'm sitting there thinking, rah, like, I have a lot of them, but I know I'm not a narcissistic person.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll be thinking, rah, and then I'll see a next one, because I'll be like, rah, am I a narcissist? I'll look it up. Yeah. And then it will be different for different people. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not, actually.
And that's the thing. Sometimes I go into like a TikTok, like, wormhole.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, my relationship's doomed. I'm with a crazy person. Everything's a red flag. This is awful. Like, and then you think,
to
who
be
are
fair,
these
though,
people?
I've even seen on TikTok people being like, oh, if he does this, it's dodgy. And it's like the smallest little thing. And I'm thinking, rah, I've seen someone do that before. And I'm thinking, oh, it makes sense. When realistic, it literally could have been like the smallest thing.
Yeah.
But like they take it out of context. And I definitely feel like TikTok's just, it is screwing with my head.
And it's always in like, in general. You can't.
Yeah.
Yes, some things are like just a universal fact that maybe that is a little bit of a warning sign. But, I don't know. You have to take these things with a pinch of salt. And it's hard when it's literally on your screen and you're like, wow, I can relate to this. And then I don't know. I've really had to like, it's caused arguments.
Yeah.
Like, because it stays in your head and you're thinking, And then, like, I don't know, I'm a massive overthinker as it is. So when something like that comes up, it doesn't just go away.
Yeah,
like, it's not just
I
a video.
overthink everything as well. And I'll be like, it'll be like 2 a.m. and I'll be like looking at the ceiling like, fuck. I've just deeped that. And then I'll go into a spiral and won't sleep till like 5 a.m.
Exactly. It's, there's a lot of therapists on TikTok.
Maybe Jonah should have just gone to TikTok to find
Maybe
some answers for his...
Well, by the sounds of his texts, that's where he's been.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like...
He has a TikTok therapist.
Yeah.
That's who he goes to.
Yeah, there's a YouTuber that's told him the best way towards self-care, and he's gone, yep. But anyway.
Jumping on that bandwagon.
So our activity that we're going to do, I found some therapy, like, terms.
Okay.
Some of the buzzwords that are floating around social media and the world. So I'm going to ask you to define them. It's a little bit of a test. Like I want to ask you how you would define them.
Okay.
And then like what you think the actual definition is.
Okay.
And then we'll discuss like if we've used them.
If we've done them. Okay.
Right? And if we think
God,
we've
this
used
is
them
when
correctly.
people find out that I'm actually a psychopath.
Same. I'm a bit scared. Okay.
I'm excited
The first one is we've already spoken about. So gaslighting.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say a gaslighter is? What would you say gaslighting is?
It's hard. You know what's the maddest thing is, like, when I try and explain things like that, I find it really hard, but I know when someone does something, it's like...
Give an example of someone being a gaslighter. Or gaslighting you.
Oh, God, I literally can't even think off the top of my head. It's happened to me before, but I've been gaslight, like, where I'm like, rah, like...
I would say, like, a prime example for me of gaslighting would be you're arguing with someone and then you bring up, like... Oh, my God, can you hear my stomach grumbling?
Yeah.
And you bring up, like, I don't know, something that they've said in the past, and they're like, I never said that. Like, that to me...
Yeah, that is actually, yeah.
But I think...
Where they try and make you feel like you're crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I never said that.
Or I never did that. And you're like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to do that. Yeah, that's probably like my biggest one, I think. Is when I've said something, they've definitely said it. Or I've caught them out on something and they've gone, that never happened. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
you're overthinking
always
it.
You're crazy.
No, I know, because I literally remember things from 3 years ago that you've said to me.
Yeah.
Like, anything that you say that I think, it's stuck in a little filing cabinet in my head with the date, the time, everything. I remember like such specific details and you're trying to tell me that I'm crazy. And then in my head I'm thinking, have I overthought this way too much? Yeah, that's definitely, that's probably the biggest one for me, gaslighting.
Or
like, in my head, anyway.
If, like, you're upset by something and then they turn it on you. You now become the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I've definitely been gaslight. Like,
I've definitely used the term, you're gaslighting me.
I've said it to one of my exes because very abusive, and I remember he would just off the wing just get angry and do something mad, and then he'd be like, see, look what you've made me do, like this is this, and I'd be like, but I didn't even do nothing. I'm thinking, what? And in my head, I think that's why it's that toxic cycle is like, did I do something to piss him off? And then I feel like maybe it is because I acted like a little bit upset, or maybe or I gave him a bit of attitude. But realistically, that is not what happened at all. But it's in my head, so I start thinking when people are like, you don't deserve this, I'm thinking, yeah, I do. I'm a bitch. I've done this, rah rah rah. But it's not that at all. I think that definitely is a form of gaslighting.
Yeah. Well, a therapist. Gaslighting is a type of psychological manipulation. It often occurs in abusive, intimate relationships and results in the victim questioning their own perception or reality.
Yeah, I've definitely been gaslit.
An example says Albers bowling is one person convincing another that something, a fight for instance, is all their fault.
No, because I just said that. Yeah.
But
I've been gaslit a lot.
But more recently, people have been hiding behind the term gaslighting, using it as a way to keep from reflecting on the role they played in a given dispute. It's used incorrectly when it doesn't allow someone to look at their own behaviour and gain insight from that. It's easy to say you're gaslighting me and not take responsibility for your own actions, which is true. Some people will just throw it out there when actually they probably are partly to blame, and no one's coming at them with this is all your fault. They're just trying to say,
this is what you've done.
This is how
you're gaslighting me.
Yeah.
Have I done that before? I don't think I have. I think I'm the one that gets gaslit. I don't I don't do it to other people.
I would like to think I'm quite self-aware.
Have I done it to someone?
And if someone came to me and was like, hey, you've done this and it's upset me, I would like to think that I'd be open to a conversation. I wouldn't be like, no, could never be me. Like, I'm aware.
I feel like as the years have gone on, I'm definitely more open to hearing what I've done wrong. I think it's just from that defensive side, from past relationships where I've had to defend myself for things I haven't done. Yeah. When I have done something, I still get a little bit like, all right, cool. So if I've upset someone, now I'm able to be like, all right, cool. So what did I do that upset you? So I can get a better understanding. I may or may not say sorry, but I will try and understand more.
But it's more, for me, it's more the thing of like, I don't know, you don't necessarily have to agree, or like, I don't need to convince you that you're in the wrong. Like, for in romantic relationships, it's not like who's right and who's wrong thing. It's more of a just acknowledge that this is the way that it's made me feel. Yeah, you can say it wasn't your intention, but at least understand that.
Yeah, you need to at least try and see it from someone else's perspective as well as your own.
Yeah, but then if I came to someone with something and said, yeah, you've hurt my feelings by doing this, and they're like, no, you're gaslighting because da-da-da, I'd be like, okay, cool, conversation done. Like, where can you go with that?
Yeah, you can't really develop that conversation, can you?
No. Okay. Narcissism.
You know what's the maddest thing? I don't even know what a narcissist is, but TikTok has told me about 50,000 things that I actually can't even give you. Like, actually I can, from one experience, and you know who I'm talking about as well, where they pretend to be like you so that they can get close to you, but realistically, like, it's not their true self at all. They are pretending to act a certain way, pretending to have a certain mannerism or personality to fit in with you. And then when you call them out on it, it's, I never did that, rah, 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 rah. Like, and also just always thinking like that they've never done anything wrong. And also, what's the other thing that TikTok told me?
TikTok made me do it.
There was one other thing, but I can't remember what it is. It's always like, poor me, rather than someone else. Even if they are like the biggest reason for things happening, it's always, woe me, I haven't done nothing, rah, rah, rah. But again, that's a bit like gaslighting though.
I'll be honest, I don't know. I haven't read these things yet, by the way. I'm reading it as we go. But I don't know what a narcissist is.
No, neither. But I've definitely met one. I've definitely met one. No.
I just take it as someone that's like,
all about themselves as well. Yeah. Like
and they convince you that they're like the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. But that's
what I meant by they sort of mirror your personality, because they know that you will obviously be like, rah, we're bare alike. Like, he's got these morals, rah, rah, rah. Sorry, I say he, it could be a she as well, but from experience, copy pretty much everything, and to the point where you don't actually see what they're like until quite further in, and you're then like, and you start seeing the cracks show, and then that's when you become the bad person, because it's like, I've always been like this. What do you mean? Rah, rah, rah. Yeah. But no, you haven't. Like, you literally have fate from the beginning to here.
So, it's a personality disorder. I didn't know. Narcissistic personality disorder is a specific diagnosis. So, actually, none of us are qualified to actually call someone a narcissist. I just thought it was like a type of person. Like, I didn't realise it wasn't actually a disorder. That's like calling someone bipolar.
Yeah, but I do that all the time.
Oh, I don't.
I'm like, stop being so bipolar. Like, you're moving mad. But I feel like they have bipolar though, so I'm just trying to diagnose them from my TikTok. Gaslighting. I'm gaslighting them with the TikTok stuff.
Yeah. But I didn't know it was a...
Anyway. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a term for the way someone acted in it. I didn't think it was an actual disorder.
Yeah, I thought it was like, you're manipulative.
Oh, I feel sorry for the man now. You've got a disorder, hun.
I don't feel sorry, because they need admiration and lack empathy. But lately, many people online have been describing any behaviour that seems rude as narcissistic. People use narcissism broadly. That's big right now, calling someone a narcissist. But I don't think people understand how long-term and pervasive of a pattern it is. No one can deduce a diagnosis of NPD by watching a 60-second clip showing or summarising another person's behaviour.
That's them calling out TikTok. Yeah. That's literally what I just said I do as well. That's crazy.
I don't think that's one that I use massively, to be honest.
I've only used it for certain people. I seem to like narcissists. I think that's just my type. Because I feel like, it is. They want that the admiration from me to be like, wow, they're such an amazing person, rah, 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 rah. And they're not at all.
My ex was...
Fake it till you make it kind of thing.
I know this goes against, like, what we've just read. I'm telling you now, my ex was a narcissist. Like, he's a poster child. If you look up narcissism in the dictionary, his face, right there.
It's just sitting. Yeah.
Like, but then I guess we're not. But this is the thing as well. This is then another question. Like, we should be able to just not use the term narcissist and just be like, you're a prick. Because we know what a prick is.
A prick.
But do you know what I mean? Like, you're manipulating me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole therapy terms being, they're definitely overused.
They're definitely overused. I think it's because of TikTok though. 100%.
Yeah,
because before, like, I don't think no one... Well, some people say, oh, he's definitely got narcissistic traits rather than he is a narcissist. Like, pinpointing that specific thing for that person. I think it's more like, we would be like, oh, he does have a bit of a mood swing. Sometimes maybe it could be bipolar, but now we're like, he's got bipolar, he's tapped, and rah, 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 she's tapped. And
it's like it's like anxiety as well. There's a massive, massive difference. And I feel like I've learnt this quite recently. There's a massive difference between feeling anxious, feeling worried about something. And I feel like this, I swear to God, I feel like this comes from the Kardashians, because they've always been like, I have anxiety. Like, I have anxiety about this. You can't have anxiety about a situation. You're anxious about a situation.
Yeah.
Like, having anxiety is a very specific... I feel bad for people that really suffer with genuine anxiety disorders, because everyone's claiming that they have anxiety. No, you're just worried about this, or you don't really feel comfortable. There's a massive difference. That's another one that's massively overused too. But then
I know a few.
Everyone's just doing it.
I know a few who claim I've got really bad anxiety.
Oh, really? And they just smoke a lot of weed.
Sometimes it's also like you just overthink a lot, because you see the way that I work, which is a little bit different to other people that I know, like, and like quite close people to me as well. It's like, and I'm not calling anyone out, but it's like I've seen it is in a situation that I might feel worried about. In my head, I'm like, oh, it's okay, because there's only two ways this can go, badly or good. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen? Whereas people who say, oh, I've got really bad anxiety, they're like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to think and rah, rah, rah. You're just overthinking it too much. That's what it is. It's not you're in a situation you don't like and you feel anxious because you're in a situation you don't like. Do you get it? That's the end of story. You don't have like severe anxiety, because if you have severe anxiety, you won't leave your house. You won't go and do certain things because you generally are so crippled by the disorder,
like, can't get out of
that you literally can't even do a single thing because you're so crippled by it. Little bits, everyone gets anxiety. It's the same as being excited. Like your heart rate increases. It's the exact same thing. So you might be excited because you're in a new place and it is a little bit worrying because there's people you've not met or whatever. It's not as deep as people are thinking.
Yeah, like I learned recently, so I've been doing like some therapy NHS thing because I've been feeling more anxious recently, and I was speaking to the woman, like we wrapped up our sessions a couple of weeks ago, and she said that so you do like a questionnaire every week, and it basically rates they do one for depression and one for anxiety. And she said that when I came, so the scale was, I feel like I'm going to get it wrong. I'm not even going to tell you what the scale is because I'm not sure. But when I first like applied for it, my number was 17. And she said a healthy range is from 0 to 10. So my point of like saying that is 0 to 10 is considered healthy, which means that there's a spectrum. And she was saying, like, yes, people get anxious. Yes, people get worried about certain things. Yes, there's certain things that trigger anxiety in people more than other things. Yeah. But because, like, there's a range, because there's not just one level, it's when it gets past that. So people could be, I don't know, 8s, 6s, 4s. But of course you're going to feel some level of anxiety about some things. Doesn't mean you have anxiety. Yeah. And it's the same with narcissism, bipolar.
Yeah, like you might have traits of it, but you're not a full-on narcissist, gaslighter, and anxious little girl.
Yeah, but people like throw it out now, and then it becomes watered down and it loses its real meaning.
You know, one thing that people are gonna hate me for saying, and I don't care. I don't care. I feel like our society play off it so much to the point where they will literally be like, oh, I can't go because I'm so anxious. And it's like,
it makes it
at
worse.
this point, and I say this with chest, and I don't care, I personally think it's attention seeking. And I listen, I understand everyone feels different things, yeah. But if I feel anxious and the next person is in the same situation as me and it's to the point, oh, no, guys, I can't because I'm so anxious. I'm like, okay, but it's not like you're jumping off a building anxious. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you can't leave your house. You've left your house knowing that we're going here and now you're anxious. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, maybe it's because I don't have a good understanding of it and I'll hold my hands up if I'm completely wrong. But it's like, I understand everyone has different types of anxiety and like has different situations that trigger it. Yeah. But I just personally think in our society, people push it way too much. Like, as we were saying, like they use these different
I think people that don't have an understanding of it claim to have an understanding of it, and then they will use it. Like,
they'll look it up on the internet and be like, "Oh, I've got all the traits. I've got anxiety."
Exactly. I'll be the first to admit that I've never really suffered, so I've never really had to understand it or made a massive effort to understand it, because I think unless you're in, you can never understand how it feels to have literal crippling anxiety unless you've been in that position. And I used to think I was gonna say I was gonna just drop some bombs, but there were certain people that I was around and I'm like, you don't like, you just feel anxious. You don't have anxiety because you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be able to do this and this. And literally I think actually, whereas a lot of people wouldn't say, yeah, but you just don't understand. I think it's everyone doesn't understand. I don't think it's just one person. Exactly.
It's like you're acting to a feeling that you think you are feeling rather than, and this is one thing that I will say, like my sister, for example. If it's never stopped
you getting out of bed,
like,
I don't believe you have a disorder.
My twin sister, she has bad anxiety, but she drops all the time. Similar to you. And the anxiety comes from that. And other things that have happened, obviously. But you can tell when she feels anxious. But she knows that when she feels like that, it is that level of, it's the same as being excited. You've got two different things. These other people are like, no, I could never be excited to be here. I'm so anxious. But you wouldn't have come then. If you're that bad, you would not have stepped out the door to come all the way here to get here. Everyone feels a little bit like, oh, this is a new place and rah, rah, rah. Yeah. Some people think, wow, this is so exciting. I'm at a new place. Rah, rah, rah. Some people are like, oh, like I'm a bit worried because it's a new situation for me to handle. Personally, I don't think that's anxiety. I just think you're just overthinking way too much.
And I think, I think it's a balance because like, I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for other people, but like, there was a point where I didn't want to leave the house at all. Like the thought of leaving the house is like the worst thing. I don't want to get on the train. I don't want to do anything. But then at the same time, I would put myself in positions where I did feel anxious or it was heightened because I was like, I have to push myself to do this. Otherwise, I am just going to give in and just stay in the house all the time. That's not healthy. That's not good for anyone. It's called like graduated exposure where you like
you gradually push yourself to
and
do
that's
it.
a very shit. That is not, I'm not doing the TikTok girlies. That's not the definition of it. There's so much more to it, but it is just like exposing yourself to those situations to the point where you get feel more comfortable. So I think that I think it's very, there's a balance.
I feel like anyone can feel anxious like doing something new.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just normal. Like when you first walked, did you give a shit if you fell? No. So it's not from birth. Like
I think it's to the point where if it's debilitating or like it's really, I don't know, a one-off time where you've gone to an event and you don't know anyone there, it's not anxiety. It's just you're worried about it. That's how that's very normal. Like I don't know. It's hard one. But anyway, off topic. Boundaries.
We've had this discussion before.
What is a boundary?
What is a boundary?
A violation.
A violation. Yeah. I feel like I've developed more boundaries because I'm trying to be in my peaceful era and I'm trying to be a soft girl, and I know that is very hard for me to do.
Are you a Jonah Hill boundaries kind of girly?
No,
or are you
no. You know what? My boundaries are more about how you treat me rather than things that you do. There's obviously some things that anyone in a normal relationship are going to be like, like, for example, I would never tell someone they can't go somewhere. I'll never say that. But my boundary is be respectful. So if you're not respectful, that's my boundary done. Like, you've crossed it over my boundary. Do you get it? Whereas like someone could be like, don't fucking go anywhere. You're not allowed out clubbing or around girls. Then that's their boundary, but that's a mad boundary. Like I can't tell someone they can or can't do something. It's their life. The way that they treat me is how I can tell them. Treat me like this. If you can't treat me like that, then that's cool. I'm off ski. The next man is going to win me over. Do you get it? Like, but like the boundaries and the control, there's a very slim line where it's like, these are my boundaries, like Jonah Hill said, these are my boundaries, but that's controlling behavior. Like you can't change everyone's.
And I think that is, I completely agree with you. It's like, if your boundaries are dependent on what someone else can and can't do, they're not your boundaries anymore. They're things you're imposing on someone else. They're rules and regulations. That's a dictatorship. Whereas boundaries, in my opinion, should be things that you are willing or not willing to take in response to someone, to how someone else acts. You shouldn't have to tell anyone anything. As the same way I wouldn't want to be told anything. You shouldn't tell anyone anything, but you are in control of whether you're going to have it or not. But weaponizing it and being like, you shouldn't do this.
I don't think I've ever told someone what my boundaries are. I've just gone, block, goodbye. And I've just got, but that's just my way of dealing with things because I'm not used to having a nice man, to be honest. So I think I had boundaries, but it got to the point where it was like you almost die and then you got boundaries. You get it? Whereas now it's like one little thing that I dislike and I feel you would know that maybe I particularly wouldn't like, as anyone would, then you've stepped too far over an imaginary line that's there. But it's like I don't know whether it's important that you tell your partner what your boundaries are so that they don't make the mistake, but then I'd rather see how someone would like to act rather than being like, don't do this and this, because they can avoid telling you they're in situations, and then that causes that whole spiral of lying and all of that shit.
It's such a tricky balance because, like, I don't know, it's that whole thing of your partner's not a mind reader, but then at the same time, there's basic things that... just treat others how you would want to be treated, do you know what I mean? 100%. And there's certain things where it's like, I would never do that, but then someone else might be thinking, I would never do that. It's a completely different thing. So it's, I don't know. I think for me, I say it, I communicate it, hey, I wasn't very comfortable with that. This is how it made me feel.
Yeah, like, but that's the best way to do it, I think.
But then if they continue to do it, like, I think definitely a one-off, I can... not let it slide, but just address it and say, hey,
so they
just
know,
in case you didn't know, in case you were born in a barn, like, here's what's
unless you were born with no decorum, do you know what I mean?
Like, then if it continues, I like, there's a quote that
you got to give someone a chance. Like, people make mistakes. No one's perfect.
Yeah, there's a quote that I really live by, and it's like, say I don't know it like word for word, but basically, once can be a mistake. But anything more than once is like, it's a pattern. Yeah. You can, I don't know, that's just something
when
that
you
I really
were a
believe
child,
in.
Did your mother tell you don't do this and you never did it again because you were scared to get told off or rah, 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 rah? It's the same situation. If you can do it again, you don't respect me. Yeah. You don't respect the situation that we're in. Yeah. And that's what I've come to terms with, is like, I'll let you do whatever you want. Yeah. But if I've told you I don't like something and you do it again, I'm not with it. Yeah. I will I'd rather choose peace than being stressed out. And I've actually stopped arguing now. If I have a problem, don't get me wrong, I will be there and be like, listen, I found this disrespectful, and this is why, the reasoning, have a good night. Simple, done. I won't cuss you, I won't do nothing. Before, I would have 120 missed calls on his call, rah, 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 cussing him, rah. I'm not with that anymore.
I was president of the paragraph sending club.
Yeah, like, I'm not.
Steps down.
I can't do it. I don't have the energy for it anymore. If you're going to act like that, why am I going to stress?
Yeah. And again, it's such a hard balance because it's like, at what point, it's like, I don't know.
The big sigh.
Like, at what point am I having self-respect, and at what point is it ego? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's also a very fine line of, I'm not going to have this, which I've definitely been in that position. Like, why should I have this? This is an intentional thing, that being malicious, I deserve peace, I deserve this, and then also being like, okay, maybe it's just a difference of opinion. It's really hard, and I think it comes down to trust.
But I think that, again, is like, especially in relationships, I feel like this one's like a big one. It's like, you have to communicate. The way that Jonah communicated is not the best way. He's just gone, here are my boundaries, take it or leave it, and fuck off if you can't.
Stay in the house.
Yeah, like, don't do a single thing. And his boundaries are more controlling. I don't think they're boundaries as such. I think they're his statements for, you do this or you're not mine. Yeah. Do you get it? But, like, I feel like there has to be a little bit of communication in relationships where it's like, you know what? These are the things I do like. These are the things I don't like. You don't have to take it, like, it can be momentarily. So, like, if something happens and then you respond, like, as you've said, you will be like, I don't appreciate that moving forward.
And everyone makes mistakes. No one's perfect. I've done things that someone won't appreciate. And to be honest, usually I take it on board.
Yeah, like, you learn from your mistakes anyway. That's normal.
I'd say 99% of the time, I'm like, okay, like, fairs. Yeah. I'll be mindful of that. And then again, and that's where it's another issue. Because, so for example, I used to just shut down. If there's an argument, if there's a discussion I don't want to have, because I know that I can be crazy and be very harsh with my words. And
that's what I do. Like,
I'll just not speak at all. I will literally go completely silent because I don't want to say something that I regret. I really want to think about it, think if I'm being crazy or if I'm actually being fair in what I'm about to say. But then that's not really fair on the other person because you're just completely going silent on them. Like,
I had this,
so I have to get better at that
conversation the other day, and I think it's a trauma response personally, but I think when I speak about things and it gets to a point where I feel like there could be an argument happening, Like, it'll be over the smallest thing. It's just a difference of opinion or whatever, but it's riling me up to the point where I'm like, no, you're wrong, innit? Like, in my head, I'm thinking, no, you know what? Like, there's no point arguing because he's going to think he's right and I'm wrong and whatever. And I've realised that this person actually just wants to communicate. But because of my past things, I'm like, nah. So I'll just be like, okay. And that's all I'll do. And he's literally said to me before, don't just say okay. Say what you want to say and let's talk about it. But I'm not used to that because in my head, I'm thinking if I talk about what I've had situations go left and I'm trying to go right. I'm trying to be in that right. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, so I just go, okay. Because I'm choosing peace.
Yeah.
I don't want problems. I want peace. Always. Like, that is literally how I've been feeling. And now I'm getting into that thing where, okay, cool, maybe I can communicate more.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say, you know what, I found this a bit weird. Can we discuss it?
Yeah.
I've heard you out. All right, cool, that's fine. Instead of being like, okay. Like, that's literally what I used to, I do it all the time.
I didn't even give an okay.
Yeah, you just went silent. Yeah.
Like, until tomorrow, I'm done. Closed for business. I've shut up shop. Like, but again, that's something I've done. That's something that someone hasn't liked and has communicated that and said, listen, that's not productive. Like, it makes me feel shut out. There's nothing that can come
makes me feel like you don't want to try.
Yeah, and I'm like,
fix.
I understand that. I understand how that might make you feel. I'm going to work on it. But then at the same time, I haven't done it once. Someone's communicated it and then like that it's fixed, because it doesn't work like that. Some things are a work in progress. Since that conversation, I've probably done it 10 times, 20 times, 50 times. But I'm more mindful of it now. So I'll have a conversation after and be like, listen, I know I didn't handle that in the best way. I'm aware of how it makes you feel. I'm working on it. Yeah. It's just not as easy as that. And I think that self-awareness is important. That, okay, I'm not going to... So I don't think it's fair to even say that if I say something to someone once and they don't act on it, that I'm done. Yeah. Because I know that it's not even that easy for me. Yeah. If I can't expect something of someone that I can't do myself. Yeah. You know?
I think it's like... It's hard to have that conversation sometimes with someone, though, because it's like, oh, I'm letting you... I don't know what the word is. You know, it's like you're letting someone take the reins of a situation, and it's like, yes, you can say, oh, you
takes
know
a
what?
lot of like, trust.
Yeah, it's like, oh, do I say to him, yeah, I know I did something wrong. Yeah. I don't want to say that because then it could go left.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when they, like, it's what they choose to do with that power.
Yeah.
Like, not the best term for it, but you're giving someone power by saying, hey, like,
I didn't appreciate this, and then you've gone, I'm really sorry. Yeah. I realised what I've done. And it's like, yeah, that's right, bitch. Like, I say that a lot. I know I do, because that's why I take the calm approach now. So it's like, and it's actually really toxic, and I need to stop doing it. But it's like, you'll do something wrong, I won't cuss you for it. I'll be really nice and say, this is what's this I find it disrespectful, rah, rah, rah. And they will come back and say, I know what I did was wrong. This is rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Because I know you can't cuss me for my behaviour. Because I've not done anything wrong. I've not shouted at you. I've not got annoyed at you. And I guess that's good in some senses. But in my head, it's like a win. Yeah. Even if they've disrespected me, I'm there like, I'm winning though, because you came to apologise to me after I've been really calm. Yeah. But I feel like then sometimes that's when people can take the piss. So I'm just in two minds of whether I do that.
Yeah, that's true. It's how you...
Because then they think, oh, if I do it, will I get cussed out? No, all I have to do is say, babe, I know what I did wrong. I love you, you know? Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. I'll do this moving forward. And I'm like, okay. No, that can't run. I need to change my game plan.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a really hard thing. And I think
relationships are just hard.
I think it comes down to, like, trying to see the best in the person. And then, obviously, then... sometimes they're just not a good person and you're still trying to see the best in them. But then some other times you get really not you, but people get really defensive and they actually are just a good person and it's just you've read it wrong. So it's just, I think, choosing whose bullshit you want to put up with. Yeah. Like,
you know what's mad is this conversation has made me realise that I need to fix a few things.
I love that for you.
I know.
I'm excited.
I just deeped it. I was like,
I love
okay, maybe I need to... Maybe I need to actually try and communicate more.
I do too. I think
we're like, oh.
Yeah, like again, like
No,
I say,
do.
my biggest thing is definitely still, and again, this initial conversation that I had with this person was 6 months ago, a year ago. It's been just how I've always.
You know what's the
been.
maddest thing? We're the queens of communication is key, but we don't communicate ourselves.
Yeah,
We need to listen to ourselves.
yeah.
We definitely do.
I feel like I can I can communicate when I feel like I'm in the right, or not even just that, but just I don't know, having like a mirror to yourself and being like, okay. I don't know. It's hard. I just think.
I think it's just it's in our human psyche. Is that the word?
Psyche.
Psyche. Like, we naturally are defensive beings.
Yeah.
Like, we want to protect ourselves in any sense. So to be defensive in an argument, for instance, you're not always going to see the other person's side until sometimes it takes a few days for it to be like, you know what, actually, if I did that,
Yeah.
would, like, do you know what I mean? Like, if they did that to me, would I be pissed off? Would I be upset? Yes, I would. And then you can come back to the conversation.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is a work in progress, 100%.
Like, I feel like sometimes I'll take a situation really personally. And, like, I'll feel like, again, especially with my boyfriend, like, that's the one where I'm like, ugh. But, like, I'll take a situation really personally, or I'll feel like it was, like, intentionally. And then I have to remind myself of his character. I have to remind myself of the things that he has changed and, like, the progress of our relationship and all of those things, and take that into account. And then remember that there's certain things that I've said that I'm not going to do anymore, and it's not as simple as that always, because it's like retraining your brain and stuff. And I don't always find it easy. I'm quite an intolerant person. With people I don't care about, you don't like there's no wiggle room. Like, I'm done. But
When you
learning
care about
tolerance and just being a little bit more forgiving of things is something that I'm really working on. But it's hard. It's really hard.
I feel like every relationship,
especially when everyone thinks they're a therapist.
Yeah, like TikTok. I need to stay off TikTok for real, because I've just having this conversation without someone telling me this is what you're doing, or rah rah rah. Like, I've realized myself. So I think it is like the case of maybe people do need to just communicate it with themselves more. Like,
self-awareness. No one has it
that's
anymore.
the self-care, Jonah, you was looking for. Sit in a room on your own and talk to yourself about what you've done. And maybe see if it was the other way around.
Therapist. Delete all your social media. Okay, let's wrap it up with
a final
one more.
What is it?
Oh, I don't know which one to pick between. Okay, we're going to go, just because we were talking about self-care. What do you define self-care as? What's self-care to you?
Okay. Something that makes my aura and my energy feel better. So anything that makes me feel happy or peaceful, or... Because, like, my self-care is probably different to other people's. Mine is like looking after myself, because that's what gives me joy or makes me feel better about myself within. I feel like some other people's self-care is going to therapy and talking about things. I'm not a very communicative person in general. Like, I like talking a lot, but I don't like talking about myself. I can give the best advice, but that's it. So my self-care is more, if I look good and I feel good. If I do certain things like eat healthily, or do a face care, or do my hair and my lashes and all of the nails and all of this stuff, that's what makes me feel good. I don't do it for other people. That's my self-care.
Yeah, it's the confidence in the, like...
Yeah, like, it makes me feel confident. It makes me feel happy. And that's, like, self-care. And also, I mean, I'm not very good at self-care, like, in other aspects. So, like, you know, not going with toxic people, because that is just, like, self-harm in itself. But that's fine. We can work on that later down the line. But these little things, I feel like, are my self-care things.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I don't know.
Yours is getting a coffee in the morning.
Which actually
and going for a walk.
Caffeine I need to cut out. So it's actually probably... But yeah, like, I feel like there's surface level self-care, which is, like, for me, is like doing a face mask, going for a coffee, whatever. Then there's, like, deeper level self-care. And I think ITV... I think it's ITV, or there's an advert on ITV or whatever, and it's like someone having a hot dog in the bath, and it's like, basically, sometimes self-care isn't, like, it's not that deep. It's just what you can do at that moment. And like I said recently, when I've been, like, struggling and stuff, sometimes getting out of bed and having a shower or making
self-care.
my bed is like,
Yeah.
that's all that's the energy I've got today, and not being hard on myself for that. That's self-care.
Yeah,
being like, you did what you could.
Yeah.
That's more than you thought you were going to do when you woke up this morning. Like,
yeah.
and being gentle, I think that's,
with yourself.
yeah, like that for me is self-care. Like, it's not
But
always...
I think that's why I do those other things, like, you know, like the outside rather than the inside stuff.
Then
it's because it's then brought inside. Like,
Yeah.
for example, when I was ill, I generally felt more depressed. Obviously, I was going through a load of shit, but I felt more depressed because I was like, oh my God, I look so pale.
Yeah.
I feel ill. My hair's not done. My eyelashes, my nails, I look dusty. And in my head, I felt 10 times worse than the fact that I was actually in hospital getting surgery and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's what made me feel shit.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, I think, oh, that's so dumb. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's because as soon as I got it done, I felt so much better. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I've not felt like this in a month. Like, I am back. Like, I think I even posted on my story, like, she's back. Like,
Yeah.
and people were like, oh, but you didn't look bad before. And I'm like, what? Like, I literally look like a beast. But like in my eyes,
Yeah.
and I think it is true. Like, be kinder to yourself and actually just be like softer within.
Yeah, I think self-care is
yourself.
different for everyone. Everyone has a different, like, again, another massive thing on TikTok, like my evening routine, and it's like I'm doing a hair mask, and then I'm gonna journal, and then I'm gonna meditate. Like, meditation,
You're forcing it.
exactly. Like, but not even that. Just that's not what everyone else is gonna resonate with. And okay, you can put it out there and say that's yours, and that you don't prescribe it to anyone. But I don't know, like, meditation, there was a point in time a couple of years ago where I was like big into meditation. I was like, yeah, it's really working, it's really cool. Like, and then I would do like tarot and just all of those things. And then recently it's been really hard to set aside that time and meditate and it work and like sit there for 20 minutes and just be still. Like, that's not what makes me feel great right now. The thought of doing that is more exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, it's
like
not
when people
working for
say
me.
go to the gym because it's like makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It's like the thought of having to go to work, finish work, or even go before work when it's fucking pitch black outside in winter, going to the gym. And yes, when you're there, it does make you feel good. And you know it does, but it's the fact that you've got to go and drive there or get a bus or whatever. Go there, get changed, work out, do all of that, then go home, and then you're tired. Like, yes, you feel good afterwards because naturally your body's going to feel better and thank you. But it's like, it's like a chore. And it's like self-care can be a chore. Like, that's why it's so important.
But that's what that's my argument as well. Is before this like wobble recently, I was going to the gym a fair amount. I was going like 4 times a week. Like, it made me feel good. That was like the one thing that I had that I was like, okay, I'll feel good after this, even if I'm tired, whatever. And it was something that I really stuck to. Then it became more hassle than it was worth because I would feel anxious about going. When I got there, I just wanted to leave. I left and I was just upset about the fact that it had been such a hard thing for me to do that I was like,
you see the negative rather than the positive.
yeah, but I felt like I had to go that many times because I had to do the same things I was doing before. And then one day I was like, I'm just going to play it day by day. If one day I can go to the gym and I have the energy to do that,
then I'll
great.
go.
If I don't, I'm not going to be hard on myself. And that for me was the self-care of like not beating myself up if I didn't go because I was doing something else or my time that day
I
was
think that's so
dedicated to other
important to talk
things.
about because I feel like especially with our society, like people judge people so much. It's like, well, if you feel like that, why don't you do something about it? It's like, okay, but it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. Like, I know that sometimes I wake up and I feel so depressed and I always put a smile on my face. I feel like out of everyone, I feel like I have that energy where it's like I can get through anything because I'll just put a smile on my face and act like everything's calm. That's not healthy. It's just a way that it's
a coping mechanism.
I cope with doing that. Whereas it's like I wish I could do them things where I'm like, you know what, I don't feel good today. I just want to stay at home in my fucking tracksuit and watch films and cry a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't cry. So I feel like
crying.
you love a cry. So that's your self-care in a way because you're letting it out. I just let it sit and sit and sit until I generally just burst. And I'm then like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? I have a mental breakdown. Like and that's because I'm too harsh on myself. And I think to myself, this week I haven't gone gym. I'm going to get fat. I'm going to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm stressed because now how do I get back into... Yeah, you're so right. Like, being gentle with yourself is probably, like, the best form of self-care you can give
however
yourself.
that looks.
Yeah.
Like, just being like, okay, I did what I could.
Yeah.
I literally did. Everyone is just doing what they can. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I genuinely, like, I think everyone is trying their best, unless you're a narcissist.
Yeah, and you're already the best at everything.
Yeah, I would say everyone's intentions, especially for themselves, are generally good. They're trying to make a difference or do something or be productive. Or so you did what you could. Yeah. Like, and that's, as a perfectionist,
Pat on the back.
It's so hard for me to be
Pat
like...
on the back.
It's so hard for me to be like, you didn't get everything on your to-do list done today. But you didn't have time. Like, but that's something I'm really starting to be like, no, actually, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
I did what I could.
Yeah, I did the most I could.
Things can change tomorrow. Like your experience recently, things can change so quickly.
Yeah.
You didn't expect to get ill like that.
And that's
what's the point in? What are we striving for? What are we?
Yeah.
You go to the gym today, tomorrow.
And you know what's the maddest thing is? I had been going to the gym consecutively. I felt the healthiest I've ever felt, and then dropped in one day. That's it. And that's what was so alarming to me. I think that's why now I'm just peace.
Yeah.
I want to be at peace, even within myself. So that's like the self-care stuff as well. I just want to be feeling just... It is what it is, hon. Yeah. It is what it is. That's my motto now. It is what it is.
I feel like this first episode back, what a banger.
I know.
Yeah, I feel like we've had like a mini therapy session. Again, neither of us are therapists.
But we've helped each other have a better outlook.
Yeah, and I think
it
started with Jonah Hill, and now we're on the path to self-improvement. So maybe Jonah's not so bad.
Maybe he has just sparked the fire within us to get us going.
Yeah, some of the ones that we missed were trauma. That's a big buzzword. Yeah. Attachment styles. I'm anxiously attached, I would say. OCD. But
OCD is a good one.
Yeah, because everyone says I've got OCD. It's literally, again, a disorder. Although I do think my mum has it real bad. But yeah, let us know your best self-care tips, what self-care means to you. Yeah, we might
take them on board.
Yeah, let us know what you think a narcissist is and if TikTok is ruining your life too. We will be back next week with another episode. You can watch all of our Capco original series on YouTube, listen to the podcast, wherever you get them. And yeah, see you next time.
Yay!
Bye.